So many federal agencies are either planning or they're conducting a reorganization effort. Now, what this means for you is you could probably find yourself in a new job, and that's not necessarily a good thing. So how bad can it get, and what can you do about it? Well, first, there's something called MDR, which is a management directed reassignment. It's not the same thing as a RIF. It's not a reduction in force. Essentially, your supervisor or somebody from management is going to ask you, hey, are you willing to be reassigned to this position? Now, it's going to seem like a friendly question, but the way that you answer it, it could trigger adverse actions to include you getting terminated. So it's very clear to understand what type of situation that you're in. So what are some of the cons of an MDR? Number one, you're in a GS-11 position right now. Let's just say you're a GS-11 and you're being offered to be reassigned to a different area. That's a GS-11. So on the surface, you're like, well, this is just a lateral move. Let me just scoot on over to the other office. Everything should be fine. But under the surface, maybe you're a GS-11 with a built-in promotion ladder to GS-13. And the other position, it doesn't have a built-in promotional ladder. So you're not getting promoted in that position unless you apply for it. That's huge. If you stay in that new position for a few years, you could be losing tens of thousands of dollars. So you need to ensure that you know exactly what you're getting into. The other thing is it even in your building? Because if you work for the VA in the DC area, in Washington, DC, there's 4 buildings there. I thought it was just 1 building, but the actual central headquarters is like 2 buildings, and there's 2 buildings down the road, and you could be working at any one of those. And that's just talking about DC. What if your agency has buildings that are multiple miles away, dozens of miles away? That'll impact your whole commute. So you need to be aware, what is this new office? Is it in this building? That's an important question you want to ask. Also, with a new office might come a new work culture. Are you reporting to the same supervisor as a different supervisor? What is their personality like? As you probably realized at this point, how much job satisfaction you have and how much job security you have, a lot of times it's connected to your supervisor's personality. So what's going on there? And is that office, are they planning to go through a RIF in the near future? You wouldn't know that unless you're in there or unless you talk to somebody. So before you give your answer, and usually you're given like 15 days to 30 days, 2 to 4 weeks before you have to give an answer. Before you give your answer, you need to do the groundwork and start asking these questions to the people that work there right now. Now, it's not all bad. Could be some good things as well. First is you have a job. So the paychecks keep on coming. They keep on flowing. That cannot be understated. With the current job market or labor market, whatever you want to call it, the way it looks right now in the private sector, it cannot be understated that you have a job. So that's good. Maybe your supervisor is actually looking out for you. Maybe positions are fixing to be terminated in that office. They're restructuring in such a way where they're reducing one office and expanding another. So maybe your supervisor has your best interest in mind. What I would do is ask the question, if I say yes or no, are there any adverse actions attached? Is this a scenario where if I decline it, then I end up, getting into trouble or potentially losing my job or being demoted? So your supervisor might be willing to reveal that information, but also keep in mind that a lot of supervisors, they have information that they're not able to reveal. As much as they would love to tell you the whole picture, they're not allowed to tell you. So in that way, they could be protecting you, but you want to ask the question. There's a big difference between having an MDR or just doing a favor to a supervisor. It could be seen as a favor. And if it is, what is your relationship? What is your dynamic with that supervisor? Do you want to do them a favor? Even if it puts you in an uncomfortable situation, because you might have for sure you're going to have some new duties and responsibilities, which could be a good thing. If you got bored of your past position and you're looking to be challenged, could be a good thing. But do you want to do a favor to your supervisor? Because the way that favors work in the federal government and pretty much everywhere is if you don't have to do something, but you do it as a favor, people tend to remember that. It builds up something called social capital, and you can use it To influence. Now, a lot of people, that sounds dirty. Like, oh, I don't want to influence anybody. I'm not going to leverage that. That sounds dirty. But people do it all the time in order to improve their scenario, to improve their situation, and it can save you in a lot of cases. And when it comes down to whether or not you still have a paycheck, I mean, for most people, it's whatever it takes. Whatever gets me to the point where I have stability and then I can be in a more prosperous situation for my family, that's what makes sense. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to do that favor? Another thing is, just because there's no promotion potential in that job, it doesn't mean that you can't still take it and then apply for your promotion. A lot of people, they have a hard time applying for their promotion. They're stuck in a job for a decade, and it drives me crazy. Like, how can you be a GS7 for a decade when there are GS9 vacancies in your agency? Why are you applying for your promotion? If it's a personal decision, that's one thing. But if you're just stagnant and you don't feel the need that you want to succeed more or to get to a higher level of responsibility or more pay benefits not just you, but the people around you. Why wouldn't you want more pay? Apply for your promotion. So that's another thing that you could do. You jump to that GS11, going off of our previous scenario. You apply for you're a GS11, and then after 2 years, you apply for the GS12, or maybe 3 years. Maybe 3 is the magic number because the federal workforce could potentially be in a much better situation 3.5 years from now. But above all, what I would remember is the chances are this is not personal. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now, and it could come from higher levels of leadership, not from your direct supervisor. This could be coming from his leader's leader type situation, right? So it's not personal. Take a step, take a breath, figure out all the possibilities, and you have to do what's in your best interest. So in addition to this, we got some craziness happening with remote workers. You might have remembered the big return to office mandate. It wasn't that long ago. But with the 100% remote workers, they wanted them to move within 50 miles of a federal building. And OPM, the government, was willing to pay for this relocation until they realized just how much it is. It's millions of dollars, and they don't have the appetite for it right now. They've paused that program. So what does that mean to you or to somebody you know who might be remote work right now? If you're interested in that, I want you to check this video out next. Stay updated by signing up to the free newsletter down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.